Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan. My name is Ike Englebaum, and I'm the founder of the group. We've been around for 45 years, and my goal is to interview successful entrepreneurs who are all willing to share their experiences, both the good ones and the bad ones. Because as it has been jokingly said, you should learn from the mistakes of others, because you'll never live long enough to make them all yourself. If you are of the entrepreneurial spirit, we want to help have you promote your services and your talents. We are always looking for entrepreneurs who can share with us their experiences so that other people don't make the same mistakes. I've been very fortunate in that I've had a lot of good mentors, and we have successful organizations like the Small Business Administration, and also SCORE, Senior Corps Retired Executives. We have so many wonderful organizations that can help you achieve your dreams. I don't mind sharing with you, one of my biggest frustrations is that when I run into people and I ask them, how are things going? And they tell me, I can't complain. And then they think it's cute to say that if I complain, no one does anything about it. I've got news for you. I have a series, because of my first name, of Ikeisms. And one of them is, you can complain and get things done if you complain and explain to the right people. That's one of the reasons I do the show. We meet on a routine basis, and you are welcome to come to any of our meetings. Our meetings are generally free, and we even provide you with non-alcoholic liquid beverages and snacks. We want you to be sober in meeting. One of my joys is I always meet talented people. And my guest today is one of our fellow members, Steve Lepsetz, who's a certified public accountant, and he truly fulfills what we've been talking about how you can be successful. And yes, our government really can help you if you talk to the right people. And Steve and I are going to be talking about the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that recently passed as to how it affects entrepreneurs. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
As you know, at all meetings of the entrepreneurial type, there's always that 60-second elevator pitch where you get a chance to let people know what you do, who you can help, and who in turn would help you. So pretend we're having a meeting, Steve. Okay. And you are on stage, sir. Go for it. What is your 60-second elevator pitch?
I'm a certified public accountant. I've been in practice for over 40 years. My passion in life is to help people make more and keep more money. I serve as a consultant for people. I don't charge people. Could call me on the phone for consultations, and I serve as a referral source. If you need attorneys, you need some other consultant. I know a lot of people that I deal with, and I'd be happy to refer you to them.
Well, you know, that's what we promote, as you know, at our entrepreneurs meetings, is that in fact, I irritate a lot of people with a lot of my sayings, including my own wife. But we've been married for 57 years, so I guess I'm doing okay by it. And the truth is that I always encourage people, whatever profession they're in, don't say no. Say maybe, I don't know how to do it. Now, don't be a phony baloney. First of all, baloney is not that great from what I haven't had in quite a while. Be yourself. You know, I don't do it, but I've got some people who I feel that can help you. So this way you still stay in touch, and it accomplishes another thing. which is if you put them in touch with the right people when they're in need of something that you don't provide, and you better make darn sure whoever you refer is trustworthy and talented, then it comes back to you in a positive way. But, and this is one of the biggest problems entrepreneurs make, in my opinion, is because they meet somebody socially, they've had a few drinks, the guy seems like a nice guy, but they don't really know if he's talented or not. Don't refer to somebody you really don't know well. So in your particular case, whatever you don't do, you can refer people
Yes.
to. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, you're no slouch. You didn't learn your stuff in the basement. I understand you got a master's. What
Yes.
is what are your credentials?
Well, in addition to being a CPA, I belong to the American Institute of CPAs, the Michigan Association of CPAs. I have a master's degree from business from Wayne State University, and I get peer reviewed every 3 years to make sure I meet the qualifications. And just, I mean, I handle everything except the publicly held company. So I've dealt with just about everything imaginable.
For example, who have you dealt with?
Well, I can't give specific names.
No,
of
no
companies,
names, but
but I
professions.
handle doctors, lawyers, manufacturing companies, engineers. I handle nonprofits. We do a number of audits on nonprofit organizations. I do the nonprofit tax returns, individual tax returns, corporate tax returns, both for what's called C corporation and S corporations. We do partnerships as well as individuals.
Now, there's sort of a gray area when someone who's an entrepreneur and wants to get started in business. Can an accountant actually set up the help set up the corporation, or is it strictly the bookkeeping part?
No, I also help incorporate organizations. I will do the application for nonprofit status. I do not do bylaws; that's for an attorney. But as far as the actually formation of the company, I do. Yes.
This is too good an opportunity for me to pass up, so I don't want to pass it up. I have the ABCs of entrepreneurship. That these are the basic ingredients. A, to get started, is you have to have an accountant, right?
That's correct. Yep.
And an attorney.
Yes.
Okay, those are the A plus, I should call it. B is you have to have bank or a bank source,
Right.
financial source, right?
Yeah.
C is the connections that you make.
Right.
So this may sound self-serving, but it does not necessarily have to be our organization. The Chambers of Commerce, and also they've got national, international. They have the Oakland County Chambers. Whatever area you're in, you have to have the connections. And in my opinion, you really want to be successful in whatever area you're going in, is check in with the service organizations. I'm a proud member of the Rotary Club and the Optimist Club, and they are all over the world. And then you can actually not only meet people in the community, but other accountants. And I assume that you refer your clients, if you don't feel comfortable in an area, to other accountants. Is that true?
Yes. In fact, I have arrangements where we could kind of consult back and forth with other accountants.
And you know, that is one of the things that puzzles me for the people that I run into, is that many times they're afraid that if they refer somebody to someone else, they'll never see them again. I got news for you. Even if you try to corral people, this is the greatest country in the whole world, America. You can do whatever you wish, and unless you prove yourself, you really are not going to be successful. Yeah. So refer people to other ones.
Yeah, there are lots of clients out there. The key is you have to make sure you do a good job. If there's something you need additional assistance on, you get the additional assistance, you know where to go for it.
Right, right. Well, by the way, my wife is always telling me where to go, but that's my problem. That's not your problem, okay? So you see all these accounting signs when you get around. Is there like a super specialty that certain accountants do, and that's all, or are you involved in different type of services?
I'm involved in different types of services. I do everything except the publicly held companies. One thing a lot of accountants don't do is audits, and I do a number of audits. Most accountants will do individual taxes, will do bookkeeping, which I also do, but in addition I will also do the audits.
Right. Now, in my experience, that when you get ready to sell a business, whoever is buying it wants to make sure that whatever you told them verbally is accurate financially,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have actually the financial reports endorsed, or I don't know the professional term, by a certified public accountant. Is that still true?
It's not a requirement, but it definitely helps give confidence to the person who may be buying your company to know what a certified public accountant has looked at it.
Right. So you definitely, as a buyer,
Yes.
want to make darn sure, hey, is this a report your brother-in-law put together, or is it right? Is that right?
That is correct.
So it's
we have certain standards we have to do, like we always make sure the bank accounts reconcile, we make sure all the activities and the books tied to what's in the bank. So that's one thing someone who uses a certified public accountant could be confident about.
Mm-hmm. And would you agree that if you're looking for a certified public accountant, that one of the things that you should try to do is find a certified public accountant that has had experience in your line of business? Is that a good tip?
Yes. There are CPAs that just are in industry, and I'm in public accounting, so I handle a number of different companies. I'm considered to be independent when I handle a client.
Right. Well, I'm a pharmacist, so I can speak from the medical aspect to it. And one of the things that really doesn't get promoted properly is that when you're having a serious medical condition that you have to deal with, it is not inappropriate for you to check out the credentials of the particular physician, right?
That's correct, yes.
So, without offending you in any way, that if someone's about to use Steve Lepsetz for the services, you would want some references to know, hey, who else in my field have you dealt with?
Right.
So if someone asks you, in that particular case, I realize you can't without the client's...
I would contact the client and get permission, but yeah, that's fine.
Right,
and my peer review is also public information. Anybody wants to check that.
Right. That's the wonderful thing that our government does do for you, okay? And this is where it gets a little gray. There are areas that you have that many people really don't know who to check with, and they don't know their credentials.
Right.
But Steve Lepsetz...
right. They could contact the state and take a look at my license. So
and check you out,
check
right?
me out, that's public.
Unfortunately, as much more that I'd like to know about you, we've almost run out of time.
Okay.
So if you have any particular walk-away comment about these new Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, would you say, is it good for anybody in particular, or bad for anybody, or does it depend?
It depends.
It depends.
Most people will benefit from this rule. Specifically, it benefits people with young children under 17. There's a $2,000 credit for anyone with children under the age of 17. It used to be only $1,000, now it's $2,000. And a credit is much better than a deduction. A credit's directly off of your taxes. So it directly reduces your taxes by $2,000 per child.
All
Now,
right.
admittedly, there are other reasons you may or may not want to have children, or how many you want.
Whatever you want.
It's not strictly for I understand that people don't do it strictly for taxes, but
Right. Well, if you feel like you're a good parent, why not have a bunch
Sure.
of kids, a whole bunch of deductions?
that's right. Yeah.
Well, I'm not. This is not a religious program, but isn't that one of the cardinal rules in the belief system? Multiply, multiply,
That's correct.
and avoid subtracting. Right?
Yep.
Steve Lepsetz, it's been a delight to talk to you.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you at our next meeting and share your accounting information.
Okay.
Right now, we have to take a brief break, and we'll be right back with another dynamic entrepreneur. Don't you dare move away from this station.
Our small business has been downtown 100 years, and we're really proud of how well it's doing in these hard economic times. But healthcare premiums have been rising. We were glad when the Affordable Care Act passed. We became eligible for a tax credit. We used that tax credit to hire a new employee. In our experience, the Affordable Care Act is a job creator. If you would like to know more about the Affordable Care Act for your business, go to knowyourcare.org.
And welcome back. And I'm so excited about having a good friend, an entrepreneur, and above all, a veteran, Sam George. As you may or may not know, I went through concentration camp, and if it weren't for the American Army, I wouldn't be here in front of this camera. Maybe some of you are happy about that. That's called self-dumping. Okay, anyway, whatever you call it, I think this is the greatest country in the whole world, and I don't know how ever to convey that message to people who are born here and take it for granted. There is no other country in the whole world that you have the freedoms that you have. And you know, Winston Churchill, who was one of my real idols. In fact, I had the joy in my younger years to prepare a speech on his behalf, not that he showed up, but I highlighted his life, and for those of you who have not seen any of his movies, you should make every effort. Anyway, Winston Churchill, like a lot of great leaders, had their weaknesses, but one of the greatest lines he ever gave, and it's so true, he says, "Democracy is the worst form of government until you compare it to everything else." We are not perfect. And I don't want to sound like I'm on a soapbox. In fact, I'm sitting in a chair, so I'm not on a soapbox. But when you think about it, there is no other country where people literally die trying to get here. And there's a legal way of getting here, and fortunately I got here the legal way, and the rest is history. And with the Entrepreneurs Network, it gives me a chance to give back. And one of the missions that I have is to give back to the veterans. And if you are a veteran or know of a veteran, I can't think of anything more beneficial both to you personally and both to them. Sam George owns a moving company, Aberdeen Van Lines, and also Veterans Moving. And we're going to share some of his strategies as to what has made him as successful as he is. And he's started a concept of helping veterans be in their own business, which I strongly endorse. Being self-employed, in my opinion, is one of the greatest joys in life. But like a lot of joys, there's some bad stuff that has to be done. As the great philosopher Yogi Berra once said, the trouble with getting anything done is that there's always something you have to do before that, okay? And Sam George has figured out that, hey, before I start getting anybody involved in moving business, why don't they come and work with me and then I'll show them what to do and what not to do, and hopefully they can go off on their own. Sam, welcome. And is that a description of what one of the things that's motivated you and the concept of getting veterans into their moving business?
Well, most definitely. Ike, thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
This is going to be fun.
Yes, it is. And as far as your moving business, what got you into the business?
Well, I'll tell you the story. Like all young boys, trucks were cool for boys, and girls liked dolls. So my family at the time was in the supermarket business. And my father put me to work at 6 years old. And when I turned 15, my uncle, who ran the produce department, my Uncle Harry, said, "You're coming up with me, nephew. You're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're going to drive the truck down to Eastern Market, get all this produce."
Sounds like fun.
So, no driver's license, but I knew how to drive a truck. So I'm driving this big truck, 24-foot truck, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, driving a truck. I had so much fun. So obviously, being a teenager, you didn't want to get up early in the morning. Didn't want to rise. However, we went to produce market and got all the produce, and we worked to the store. And then shortly after high school, I tried college. I was just too much of a daydreamer. I just didn't like looking at books. Then shortly after, 21 years old, I went to the military. For 2 years, they sent me over to Vietnam. And in Vietnam, they asked me what my qualifications were, and I had told them management and warehousing and truck driving. And they said, "We need a truck driver. Go over there." Now, had they not needed a truck driver, I'd have been in infantry. Maybe I wouldn't be here today. Thank God he sent me home. So after my stint in Vietnam, I had applied for 3 over-the-road truck driving jobs. Back then, in the 1970s, over-the-road truck drivers were making $100,000 a year. That's
Wow.
like $450 today.
Wow.
That's because the trucking industry was regulated. And that's why it's like having a liquor license or having a degree. So after Ronald Reagan deregulated the trucking industry in 1982, it was kind of open to warfare. Any mover could get a license. So obviously, all the rates dropped, and so did the wages for drivers. Well, I never took a job because I had to come back and work the family little mom and pop grocery store because my older brother had gotten drafted too. So I worked the store for a year, and I always wanted to drive a truck. So when my brother got back from Vietnam himself, I said, "You know what? I'm going to start a trucking company." Just on a whim. I said, "Let me start moving. I hear it's a profitable business." So I started. My first year in business at $2,500. But I had a full-time job working the family business. So my uncle says, "Are you out of your mind? Only $2,500? I said, "Don't worry, Uncle, it'll get better." And then it was called GBS Moving, and I can't say on the air what it means, what my uncle called it. So the second year I did $10,000. Third year I did $60,000. After that, I quit my job at the family business.
Wow.
And then it just kept growing. I wish I had worked for a moving company prior to learn the ropes, but I said, "Nah, I can do it on my own." And it continued to grow and continued to grow. In 1982, I built my own warehouse.
Wow.
With the help of my brothers. We started a corporation called Triad. And then in 2002, we lost the building because the highway department forced us out. They were building a highway there. So I'm still in the moving business, just having a ball. And it's hard work. But I don't know anyone on earth that's made money without working hard. Do you?
No, I don't. In fact, I'll tell you, I always tell people that just because you, quote unquote, are self-employed, that doesn't mean you sit there with your legs on the desk, right? Or your feet on the desk. I mean, so
Exactly.
It's hard. And of course, you have to be physically strong too, what you're doing. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. If you have the right tools in any business, it's easier to operate. We have the right tools, dollies, and there's the art of the lift, I call it. Movers, a good mover never uses his back. You use your arms and legs when you lift.
So you just say, well, hello,
Exactly.
Dolly.
Exactly.
Hey, we ought to write a movie, do a play.
Hello,
think,
Hello.
and
Wait a minute. That's a
my-
moving Dolly. And you know, Ike, several people have asked me, how did you make all your money? I said, it's really simple. I work for it. That's simple. And if you run, you run a tight ship, you pay for your mistakes, and you build a clientele of customers, they always call you. And it may get to a point where they don't even want to shop around. They just, Aberdeen moved me before, you guys did a good job. No questions asked. Just get the job done. Tell me how much, I'll write you a check. You've always got to treat your customers all with respect.
Right. Well,
Because they're keeping you in business.
well, when you analyze it, your customers are the people that keep you in business. And so many times the people forget they want to do what they think the customer wants, but find out what they want. And I don't want to go off our conversation here, but I must share a personal story as to you not only do the actual moving, and in the entrepreneurship, there's 3 letters that I always promote, which is called USP, which states and stands for Unique Selling Proposition. What is it that makes you unique? In all due respect, there are a lot of moving companies, but what I know about you personally, and why I'm delighted that we're friends, is you've personally helped me on stuff that the regular moving company wouldn't consider getting involved with. And that is, you obviously are looking for moving a person from one place to the other. But I will never forget the time that I called you, and there was this blind person out in somewhere near Flint who wanted to move next to her daughter in Dearborn. And you not only said, yeah, I'll go out and check out what's going on. Here's a person, some people don't like to be called blind, so they call them VIPs, visually impaired, whatever it is. She couldn't see. You went out, evaluated what had to be done, helped her pack up the stuff, moved her to her new location, and set up the furniture as close to whatever she had, and then walked her hand in hand to feel that. That's what makes a successful entrepreneur. You don't read that in the textbook, right?
You've heard the phrase above and beyond?
Yes, right.
And our service has always been that way, above and beyond. My older brother, who's a doctor, he taught me one thing when I was younger. He said, just provide the best service you possibly can. Now, walking her around was no big deal. It wasn't a big deal.
Right.
But it's what she needed. When our customer needs something, if we can do it, we're going to do it.
Right.
We've had customers ask us, hey, can you rebuild my house? I can't personally, but I know someone who can.
There you go.
And they appreciate the fact that it's kind of, oh, well, just ask Sam and Aberdeen
Right.
Medlines, they'll get us somebody.
Right.
We just did that yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Right.
Customers moving to
Sam the man.
Sam. And
We
you
only
know,
got
Ike,
I'm sorry, we got a couple of minutes
Oh,
only,
okay.
and I want to make sure that we address you're looking for veterans that want to work with you, and you can show them hands-on experience, right?
Yes.
Is that
Yes,
what's
exactly.
behind it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So hopefully you not only can be more successful than you already are, but also you can help veterans who are looking to be their own boss, so to speak, with that magic 4-letter word called work, right? And using your brains. One of my Ikeisms is that we are all born with 2 ends, one to sit on and one to think with. And our success in life depends on which one we use the most. You, Sam, are using the right part. God bless you. And I only have enough time, unfortunately. We'll talk again soon.
Okay.
I always like to leave this segment with my favorite parting thought, which is that if you really want to get anything done in life, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And there is no excuse for not achieving your dreams and goals in America, because it is the greatest country in the whole world. Remember, a goal is just a dream with a deadline.